Hello and welcome. This is Laren with the Fantasy Grounds Academy. Today I'm going to be doing some more Chat GPT work, trying to come up with a good way to create prompts for one-shots. So I'm using the D&D 5e rule set, but obviously you can apply the same technique with any rule set that you like. Also, in previous videos, I was using Chat GPT 4.0, the paid version. I think this time I'm going to use 3.5. I'm going to see if it can do the same amount of work, which is the free version. And on top of that, I just wanted to say happy 4th of July if you celebrate that, or Canada Day if you've already celebrated that. Also, to all of our people from all over the world, hello, and thanks for watching and listening. If you haven't already joined our Fantasy Grounds Academy community, we have a Discord, and it's been going on for about 6 years. At the end of this month, we're going to have a Founders Day festival, which is going to be like a mini convention. We're going to run some games, have a couple events, and just kind of hang out for the weekend. So that's the 28th through the 30th for that weekend. It's Founder Day 6. That's what we call it, Founders Day weekend, number 6. And, we're not really there to be know-it-alls. We really just try to help you out and kind of base it off of our user experience and a collection of knowledge that kind of comes from all different people. So really, we're just trying to inspire you and show you some tricks and try to help you through some problems. Generally, the support is done and dealt with through email or on the official Fantasy Grounds forums, and also the official Discord. So you can go there first, but if you're not getting any response or you need some help, come on over to the Fantasy Grounds Academy and we'll try to see if we can help you out. Now, we can't guarantee success, but we definitely will give it a shot. So first things first, I'm in a new, basically this is a new setup here. This is a new campaign. I'm using the D&D 5e rule set, and what I have here is basically something I've been working on for a few months. So this is an adventure template to help set up for like one-shots or short adventures. I haven't really delved into a long format, but what I'm thinking is that you can use this as your guide, this template, and then kind of build on that and use it in sections in Chat GPT for each chapter. And so essentially you'd be like a series of one-shots, right? So, and then combine them together for adventure. So most adventures, the ones that I've seen lately are between 10 hours and up. So there's that. But then there's a lot of one-shots that more people can commit to that are just like 4 hours or maybe 3 days at the most. So those are just sort of 3 4-hour days. So those are just sort of things I'm more working on here. And what I've done is created the text in Fantasy Grounds to make it easier for me. So I'm actually going to save this as a module. So every time I want to create content, I have some starting points, some templates that I can use. So I'm not constantly jumping between ChatGPT and Fantasy Grounds and my Notepad++, because this is where I start a lot of this work. But I went ahead and copied and pasted this so it matches what's in Fantasy Grounds. And then when I want to update this, I'll copy and paste it into Fantasy Grounds or vice versa. So it just depends on where I'm at. But I don't like to keep jumping between different programs. It gets confusing and it takes a lot of time. So what I'm going to end up doing is just kind of, when I don't have, to share a screen and all that, I'll have the Discord minimized, and then I'll have the Chat GPT on one window because I have 2 windows or 2 monitors, and then I'll have Fantasy Grounds on the other. So that really streamlines the process, because right now I'm kind of jumping between like 4 or 5 screens. So that's just kind of the nature of it when you're doing a stream. But when I'm not doing a stream, that's generally my workflow as far as how I have it laid out. The thing that I'm trying to do is test this on different Chat GPT versions, and also just to kind of see what kind of output I get. So I've given this the formats that I want to work with. So I gave, I put even the resources in here so we can find that stuff so it's easier. I made a separate link for rollable tables, which you can import into Fantasy Grounds with the table import tool. So that's this tool here. And it works really nice. You just have to assume that it's going to be delimited, which is a way that you can separate the columns. And it's separated by a pipe. So the pipe symbol is basically above the the left slash key, and I use that as my separator. And the reason for that is some content has commas, colons, semicolons in a sentence. If you use that as a separator, it's going to make extra columns, and you don't necessarily want those. So I have it set up to where it's only this pipe separator between the role and the result. Also, the results need to be on one line. You don't want to break it up with separated lines, like for, when you do a line break, you don't want that there. So there's some things that you have to consider. But when you put the title in up here, and in this first column, it'll ask like column headers in the first row. I'll say yes. So that's like the header for the rollable table. And then the table ranges are in the first column, which is your number. So I'd say yes there. One thing you want to avoid when you're doing this in Chat GPT is do not say table. So I say rollable list, because if you say table, it's going to give you this weird formatted code block thing, and I don't want that. If I was doing a PDF, maybe, but not in this case. I just want plain text. So I put in here, do not recreate or do not create code blocks or formatted tables. Only generate a simple list. And yes, I said tables there because I have to tell it don't make tables. And then use a 2-digit result and separate the role from the result with the pipe symbol only. So that's what I've requested that ChatGPT does to handle a rollable table. So let's do that. Let's do a rollable table. Let's see how well it does. So I'm going to copy and paste this text here, hit Control Copy, and then I'm going to go to ChatGPT and bring up the program or the app. And what I'm going to say is let's make a table. So I'm going to first hit Control V to copy this information. So this is essentially saying to make a rollable list. Now I'm going to give it a request. So there's the template. So I'll say using the template above, please generate a list of rumors in the city of Baldur's Gate. We'll just say something like that. Something we're kind of familiar with. And I'll say, even get a little bit more detailed. So make a couple false or outlandish. So this will kind of make the table a little bit more interesting and not so direct. Some people don't like to have red herrings. I kind of like to have at least 1 or 2 in there because it's a lot of nonsense, but you can have very good like role-playing results of that. So I want to see if this will actually kick out the right format for us for this particular case. So this is a rollable list, and I only want the list. I don't want the formatted block. Let's see what it does. So once I hit enter, or yeah, see, this is exactly what I wanted. But see, I didn't put a confine on it, so it's gonna. Okay, it came out with 20 rumors. That's a little much, I think, but it's still doable. I can still use that. So it gave us the 2-digit number and the separated by the pipe with a space, and then it gave us the actual rumor. So I'm going to copy and paste this, and this is going to be a rumor table for Baldur's Gate. So I'm going to hit copy there and go back to Fantasy Grounds, and this is the import table tool. So I'm going to hit Control V as in Victor, and that's going to paste in all that stuff there. And then this top one is our just going to be our header. So I want to insert that. So I'm going to put in 1d20 because that's 20 results. And then I'm going to put the pipe symbol with a space, and then I'm going to put rumor. Or I'll put Baldur's Gate. I'll just put rumor. And then the top where the title is, I'm going to actually put Baldur's Gate rumors. So we'll do that. So up here is the name of the table. And then this first entry is the actual header for this group, which will be like the labels in the table itself. And then these are all the potential results. So the settings that I'm using is delimited If you do a simple table, it's not going to give you quite what you're looking for sometimes. And then the delimiter or the separator is a pipe. And then the column headers are in the first row, yes. And the table ranges are in the first column, which is this on the left. So I'm going to go ahead and hit import, and we'll see what we get. It looks perfect. So this is my rumor table for Baldur's Gate. So I have all that stuff made here, and it looks like it's done right. And as you can see, there's the 1d20 thing and the rumor. Yeah, that's exactly what I wanted. So now let's test it. You roll on it, and it rolled a 2. So it says, a group of thieves has discovered a hidden underground treasure vault beneath the city. I'm going to use that to build our one-shot. So we can take these results and actually create one-shots around these results and make for an interesting adventure where we can actually roll on this table to figure out which one-shot we want to run. Typically, it'd be in and around the region. So you might be going on a trip to El Terrell or one of those other places, or you might be in the suburbs of Baldur's Gate, or you might be in the city. In this case, it'll probably be in the city because it says that. So what I'm going to do is take in, I'm going to just kind of take this information and let's see what we can do with it. So I'm going to go back to Chat GPT, and I'm going to start a new chat because I don't want to keep using the same one for different types of data. I'm going to actually use a separate chat for the actual adventure. So I'm going to go back. I'm still on 3.5. I'm going back into this Fantasy Grounds. And now I'm going to use the adventure template that I created. So I'm going to do everything here. I don't need to do the NPCs, so I'm just going to do the adventure part. And then if we have NPCs, I'll have that generate there. So I'm going to hit Control Copy and then go over to the Chat GPT app, the web page. I'm going to hit Control V as in Victor. And I don't need this little reminder here, but what I'll do is I'll say, basically, this is going to be our note. So I'll say, please, I'll just say generate. I'm going to put these little stars here to denote that this is what the command. Generate a one-shot set in Baldur's Gate. The topic, or I'll say the subject, actually the theme is, and then I'm going to put in whatever we rolled on that table. So in this case, a group of thieves has discovered a hidden underground treasure vault underneath the city. So I'm going to take that information and just kind of grab a note. So if you go to the players section over here on the right and just grab a note, I'm just going to use this as a place to drop my text. So I'll just take this text and drag and drop it up here so I can copy and paste it easier because it's harder to do from the chat window. And I'm going to go back to our web page here. And then I'll put, see, Baldur's Gate. I want that to be capitalized. Spelling doesn't matter too much, but it does help. Like, it doesn't confuse it as much. And then I'm going to put a little star there. I'm going to put some space in here just so it knows that this is, separated from the rest of the stuff. And then I'm going to go ahead and hit send message. And if you use 3.5, it is a lot faster than 4. So that's one thing I like about it. Oh, yeah, it's starting to... Hey, I like what I see so far. Okay, so here's what it did. I'm going to go ahead and copy and paste this into Fantasy Grounds so we're not stuck here the whole time. Oh, continue generating. It wasn't done yet. Cool. It's got more stuff to do. Even better. Sometimes it will only give you some really vague information, so you kind of have to cajole it to give you more. So now I'm going to copy and paste all of this into Fantasy Grounds, reformat it, and then, potentially build on it for creating a one-shot. So it's a really good starting point if you are a homebrew person, or if you have an adventure, you got kind of a weak spot or, like a slow area. This might be a good thing. So now that I have that there, I'm going to just paste it in the note so it's all in one spot. And then if you right click, you can actually go clean up text, and it will take out the extra spaces, because that's the sort of thing you'll get when you copy and paste from websites or from PDFs. So that's a nice little handy tool that they built into Fantasy Grounds within the last year or so. So let's see what they gave us. So it's going to, I'm going to label this as Thieves just so I know what it's related to. I'll say BG Thieves or something, just so I have a kind of a working title. Okay, so a group of thieves has discovered a hidden underground treasure vault beneath the city. So the story lore is that in ancient times of Baldur's Gate, when the city was still young, there were tales of a secret society of thieves known as the Shadow Hand. Legends spoke of their audacious heists, their mastery of stealth, and their insatiable lust for wealth. It was said that they had amassed a vast fortune hidden away in a treasure vault deep within the city streets. The location of the vault was lost to time, becoming nothing more than a whispered myth. So the background is that in recent days, rumors have started circulating among the city's criminal underworld. A group of cunning thieves claims to have discovered the fabled treasure vault of the Shadow Hand. Their confidence is bolstered by the stolen artifacts and riches that they have been flaunting. The news has reached the ears of the city's influential figures, and a sense of excitement and trepidation fills the air. The question remains, can this group of thieves be trusted, or is it all a ruse to lure unsuspecting adventurers into a trap? So the setup here says the adventure is recommended for a party of 4 to 6 players at 5th level. The thieves' hideout lies deep beneath Baldur's Gate, filled with traps, puzzles, and dangerous encounters. Players should be expected enough to handle the challenges that await them in the shadows. So it should say experience, it does. That's pretty cool. So what I'm going to do to make this a little easier on me is I'm going to highlight these areas so that it kind of stands out a little bit more. It's a little bit easier to read. So I just kind of put Control B on there. I think I'm going to make this header an actual header. So I hit Control 2, and that actually makes that stand out a little bit more. There's different sections. So Area 1, the Thieves' Hideout. So area description. The hideout is a dilapidated building in the outskirts of Baldur's Gate. The entrance leads to a secret passage, descending into the underground network of tunnels and chambers that make up the thieves' lair. So that's the area description. The DM information says the hideout is guarded by a group of elite thieves who have pledged their loyalty to the self-proclaimed leader of the group. They are skilled in stealth and ambush tactics, making use of their environment to gain the upper hand. The challenges presented here is that the players will encounter various traps such as hidden pressure plates, tripwires, and poison dart traps. They must navigate these hazards while dealing with the patrolling thieves. There are also locked doors requiring lockpicking or finding the right keys, or aka making a bunch of noise and kicking the door in. Read aloud. So as you step into a dilapidated building, the stale air fills your nostrils and the flickering torchlight casts eerie shadows on the walls. You notice the telltale signs of recent activity and a half-empty wine bottle, scattered cards, and a hushed whisper coming from deep within. The air is thick with anticipation, and the secrets of the thieves' hideout lie just out of reach. So what we can do here is we can actually highlight this text and create a chat bubble. So we can do that. So that is Control 4. Oops, I think it's Control 3, sorry. So I just hit Control Z to get out of that, so I'm going to go Control 3. There we go. So here's the read aloud, and this is exactly what I wanted. So you have a section that's going to be read aloud to you or the players, and then I'm going to go ahead and hit Control Tab, and that will let me insert this. So I'll just say DM here. So what that does is it says the DM saying this. So if I set this to chat, that's what it's going to output to the players. And then the aftermath of this is the players may capture or defeat the guards, gathering information about the layout of the hideout and the thieves' plans. They might find maps, documents, or keys that lead them deeper into the underground vault. So that's really cool. I like that. Now this is, I didn't make any of this up. This all came from Chat GPT, so that's pretty cool. I might change some names around, locations. I might add my own traps in and stuff, but this gives you a pretty good starting point. So it's pretty decent. So then you go to the catacombs, and it describes that. It gives you DM information. Apparently, there's some undead in the Forgotten Catacombs. So you have skeletons, zombies, and a specter in there, potentially. The challenges are that you have to navigate through the crumbling corridors, avoiding collapsing sections, solving puzzles to unlock the path forward. And they may encounter hostile undead and come across some trapped crypts containing valuable loot or clues. So, this is exactly what you want from an adventure. You got some skill challenges, you have some hazards, and then you have the threat of maybe a couple thieves shooting at you in the dark or coming after you in the dark. So that's really cool. Let's see what the read aloud says. So I'm going to just highlight. Actually, what I'm going to do is hit enter. And then I'm going to highlight it now because I want the read aloud to still say that up there. So I'm going to hit Control 2 or Control 3, I believe. Yep. Oops. Nope. It grabbed the read aloud part. There we go. So I have to hit an enter to get not shift and enter. So Control 3. There we go. And then again, I'm going to hit Control Tab inside of the cell, and I'm just going to put DM. So these are just things that you can use for yourself to kind of make your life a little easier if you want to make some homebrew content. So hit that chat window, and that's going to send that out to the chat, which is what you want. And the aftermath here is that the players may dispel or defeat the undead, uncovering ancient secrets or gathering clues about the next area. They might find a hidden map or an inscription hinting at the true nature of the treasure vault. Let's see. So then you got Area 3, which is the Chamber of Shadows. And let's see what else we got. So this area is the heart of the Thieves' Underground Vault. It's a vast, dimly lit chamber adorned with elaborate pillars and filled with hidden passages and deadly traps. So the chamber is guarded by the leader of the thieves, a formidable rogue with exceptional skills in stealth and deception. They rely on misdirection and traps to defend their ill-gotten treasures. The challenge is that you must outwit the traps, solve the puzzles, and navigate hidden passages to reach the center of the chamber. Along the way, you have to face ambushes, illusions, and devious traps to test their mettle. So this is a group of like 4 to 6 players at level 5, so it should be pretty fun. Aftermath, the players confront the leader of the thieves, engaging in a tense battle or negotiations. The outcome determines whether they successfully claim the treasure or are deceived by the cunning rogue. They may uncover additional secrets, such as the true purpose of the Shadow Hand or a hint at another hidden vault awaiting discovery. And then there's the read aloud section again. So again, I'm just going to hit enter to get some space in there. I'm going to highlight the text, hit Control 2 or 3, Control 2 or 3, and then Control Tab. And that gives us the little bullet there where we can put the DM as the speaker. And then I'm going to highlight the read aloud. So this really makes it structured so it's kind of easier to run. And that all has to do with the template that you set up. So normally in the template itself, I have a structure that I've set up here. So we have the introduction, but then the actual adventure part of this, for each area, provide the following details. So the area description, the DM information like encounters, traps, tactics, mechanics, that sort of thing. And then the challenges, you might describe those if it's applicable. And then you have a read aloud section, which allows the DM to narrate what the players might experience visually and audibly, and the feel and all that stuff. And then aftermath is the details of any results, consequences, or if you get loot or helpful information, or possibly a lead into the next area. And then you just repeat that how many other times you want for your adventure. In this case, it was 3. So you have area 1, area 2, area 3. But when you request this, you need to let the Chat GPT know that you want more than one area. So that's so you're using this template and you have something that needs to be repeated. I'd put like a times 5 or something, and then in your command or your request, I would say to make more than one area. I'd say make 5 areas. Be very specific, because it will just make the bare minimum. So then after you have that, then it has the outro, which is the aftermath and consequences of the adventure. You have a read aloud, kind of like an ending. You get your rewards, experience points, most valuable player, recognition, quest rewards, whatever, milestones. And then you have your epilogue, which may suggest a continuation or a sequel to the adventure, which is really the point of creating all the one-shots, is you can possibly build a full adventure with it. And then you have your legal stuff, your appendices. So the appendices, I usually put new monsters. So if it's a homebrew creature that you created that doesn't exist in any books, I put those there. Any new or modified mechanics. So if you got any new things to handle stuff in your adventure, you put that in an appendice. And then new or unique magic items. So you want to detail or any new or unique magic items that the players might discover. So these might be artifacts or something very special that's unique to this game. Anything else that comes from like the monster manual and that sort of thing, you really don't need to put that there. You can still use those in your adventure, but you don't really have to detail those. You can make a list, though, if you want, to make it easier and more convenient for your game masters so they know where you pulled the information from, like maybe make some links or something. But in general, most adventures don't do that. They just say use the monster X from page X and whatever book it came from, that sort of thing. And then, of course, I used my templates here, but I did put a section here for legal. So if you're going to ever do a commercial product, you want to do your attribution, your disclaimer, your sources, and always review what you've done and make sure that it's good, and your grammar and all that kind of stuff. So that's just like a tool that I use to create content. And now I'm going to use this NPC template to create the NPCs for this adventure. So I'm going to copy and paste this template. I've used this in other videos. I have this up on our blog. I'll include it in the videos after this show, or the description after the show, because I've already copied and pasted all this stuff in there, so you guys can use it and kind of modify it the way you want. And like I said, it doesn't have to be D&D. It could be any rule set you want. So this is the information for the template. So I'm going to go back to the Chat GPT, and I'm going to start a new conversation. So I have 3 conversations, one for tables and such, one for the adventure, and then one for the NPCs. So I'm going to hit Control V, and then I'm going to make my request. So one of the things that I put here, and it's very important, is, and let me go back to Fantasy Grounds. I'm going to put this in there actually, is do not deviate from the formatting. Sometimes, I don't know why, but ChatGPT will just do whatever it wants. So I'm going to put this, do not deviate from the formatting and layout due to the parsing requirements for the Fantasy Grounds Unity Virtual Tabletop platform. I always put that in there because for some reason it wants to change that quite a bit, especially when it's losing focus. Like when you run out of memory, like basically it starts forgetting what you did before. It'll do that all the time. It'll just really piss you off. So I'm going to go ahead and put in create the D&D 5e NPC stat block. Now, it doesn't have much context over what it's making these for, so I kind of have to tell it. So, create the D&D NPC stat blocks, because we're going to do more than one. for the Shadow Hands Thieves Guild or something like that, or cult, it could be. I'll say Thieves Guild in Baldur's Gate, so it has a little bit of context related to the story. And then we're gonna, if I had this in the same conversation with the story, I wouldn't have to do this. But since I have a separate entry, I have to give it some context. Otherwise, it's just gonna make some random stuff. I don't mind randomness. I just don't want it to make something completely different. Create the D&D 5e and create D&D NPC stat blocks for the Shadow Hands Thieves Guild in Baldur's Gate. Create a stat block for, I'll say the Thieves Guild Master, or for the Guild Master who wears +1 leather and is armed with a dagger and a rapier sword. I'll just say rapier. And uses poison to coat his weapons. So that's the leader. Also create the NPC stat block for the minions, or for the regular, the low level guys. Actually, I'm going to have a lieutenant too. So also create the NPC stat block for the Guild Master, and I'll say the Guild Master's sidekick, or what should we call him? Not a sidekick, but like a lieutenant or right-hand man or something, or right-hand woman. We'll just say create an NPC for the Guild Master's female associate, and then the rest, and then create a stat block for the rogues, the standard guild rogues. See if it can handle that, because sometimes if you ask it too much, it will give you a bunch of gobbledygook. So you have to be careful on how much you ask it in one thing, or in one request. So let's see what happens. So yeah, so far it looks like it's creating it properly. Oh, cool. So it has Shadow Step, it has the Sneak Attack, Poisonous Blades. So the Guildmaster dagger and rapier coated with a lethal poison. Whenever he makes a hit with a weapon attack, the target must make a DC 14 Constitution saving throw. That's really cool. That's going to actually come up in the stat block. It has a multi-attack. It has a dagger, the rapier. Reaction, he has an uncanny dodge. And here's a little bit of the background. So that's really cool. So he's the master of the Shadow Hands. He's cunning, ruthless. He wields both daggers and a rapier with deadly precision. They're known for their ability to strike swiftly from the shadows. They're expert. Yeah, that's really cool. Here's the female associate. So she's probably one of his lieutenants, or someone that kind of helps keep things in order, or maybe that's a spy or something. Who knows? But she's in here too. She has evasion, sneak attack. And then she has, what does she attack with? She makes 2 attacks. She has a short sword and a short bow. And I like that she's a little different. It's not exactly the same. And then the standard rogue right here. So if this is done correctly, and it's actually parsing this right, we can put these in fairly quickly. So I'm going to do that. So I'm going to go and grab the Guild Master first. So I'm just going to copy and paste this content from here. And that's just going to be the Guild Master. Control copy, go into Fantasy Grounds, and go to the NPCs and already have like a group set up here. And going to go ahead and go to import text, Control V as in Victor. If you right click, it will clean up the text to kind of give you an idea of what it's supposed to look like when it brings it in. And then I've said before in other videos, you don't want the background here. You're going to put anything like that that's not part of the stat block over here on the right, because it will mess up the parsing. So I'm going to delete that part. And there we go. So I'm going to hit import and we'll see what we get. Yeah, it looks really good. Yeah, the poison blades part parsed correctly. When you mouse over, you can see that it's working. There's the weapons, those look right. And then if you come onto the other tab, that looks really good. So yeah, I mean, that's a slam dunk as far as I'm concerned. So that's the Guildmaster done. I mean, that's really quick once you kind of get used to how this works. And then the female associate, you know, obviously I'm going to rename these things, but I had to give it something to get, you know, make sure it's a female, and also to, you know, not belittle her and say, oh, she's just a sidekick or a girlfriend or something like that. This is his actual, almost his equal. Let's put it that way. And she kind of helps him run the show. So maybe she helps keep the others in line, but make sure they're paying their dues or whatever. So I'm going to go ahead and right click again, cleans up the text. I'm going to go ahead and copy and paste this. So Control V, highlight this, delete it, because I don't want that in the stat block. And I go ahead and highlight this background, Control B, take a quick cursory look, and then hit import because it looks right. And voila, there is the female thief, challenge rating 2. Here's her evasion and sneak attack. So it kind of messed this up. These are supposed to be kind of different. So I need to erase that because there's a little problem there. So I can tell it is from this part here. So evasion is a trait. Sneak attack is a trait. What I'm wondering is why it's combining those two. So I put a space there. I don't know if that's going to help. But it's sneak attack with a period after it and evasion with a period after it. So I've run into this before where it was just like one little character or something like that. So we'll see. Let's see. Nope, it didn't fix it. Huh. Well, I don't think it's going to kill anything because the actual parsing is there. But I'm going to see if I can fix it. So I'm going to right click, delete that. And what I'm going to do is hit Control Copy, and then I'm going to go ahead and maybe that's a sneak attack is more of an action. I don't know. So I'm going to hit Enter, and I'm going to put that down here so it actually has a line break and not just a space after it, because that could be what's causing this. And then I'll right click and go to clean up text. So we'll see if that helped. I just rearranged them a little bit. If it doesn't, I'm not going to worry about it too much. Yeah, here's evasion, but then it didn't add the sneak attack, which is really strange. So I will try this again. So Control Copy, go ahead and hit Enter, and then Control V. And then remove this one of sneak attack. Okay, we'll see if it one more time. So let me erase this and try it again. Yeah, it's wanting to combine these together. I can easily just add. So this is not, the entire thing is not evasion. So what I'll do is I'll just type it down here. Sneak attack. And then I will put in this. So Control, and then you use the arrow key. So if you want to highlight this, you can use the arrow key if you want to select a certain thing that you wish to highlight. But I'm just going to do the whole thing, and I'll just erase what I don't need. Control V, and then I don't need this evasion part. So you can do that. That's not a hard thing to do. I mean, occasionally you have to monkey around with it. I'm not sure why it's combining those, but let's see. Sneak attack. When she hits, she has advantage. Yeah, I don't. This is really weird. So this evasion part only needs to be the effect that does the saving throw part. And then the sneak attack is going to be a totally separate area. Okay, so Control A, delete, Control V, and then I just want to get rid of the top part here. So there we go. So that's just how you, if you have a little snafu like that, that's not a big deal. So I fixed that. So now those are separate areas or separate traits. I have no idea why it tried to combine them, but they're not the same thing. So that is just that. So if I put it in, what do you call it, Notepad++, I can probably clean it up there, but I'm too lazy. I don't feel like doing that. And then background, here's this. So yeah, it's okay. It kind of lists it separately here, so that's fine. Okay, I see. All right, so that's not bad. Just one little snafu. I mean, it's not perfect. And then we're going to do the regular minions. So all of the regular rogues, the ones that the soldiers, I guess you want to call them, or the cannon fodder. Let's see. So I'm going to copy and paste this, and obviously I'm going to change the names. I don't need the generic titles, but I don't want to get too picky. You ask for too much, and it really throws that thing off. So I want to go ahead and import again. So hit that, hit Control V as in Victor. Hit this clean up text, go through the text, see if it's right. It looks right. I mean, I don't see anything, but I think it's going to do the same thing here that the other one did. So I'll put a space in there. Hopefully that will help that. Yep. And then I'm going to take this background and paste it over here, put a bold on that, and then erase this part. And I'm going to right click one more time to clean this up. I don't know. It will probably combine those two again like it did with... see, I'm wondering if one of these should be like in a different area. But anyways, so hit import. It actually didn't even put in the sneak attack this time. So what I'll do is, because of the order it put it in, I don't know why it's not picking that up, because it looks right, but what I might do is take out the turn part. I think that's what's throwing it off. So I'll just do sneak attack, because there's no reason to have the turn in there necessarily. And then I'll delete the standard guild rogue, and I'll right click and kind of clean that up, see what it does. Yeah, that's exactly what it was. So in that case, it had extra, that parentheses and the once per turn threw it off. So you don't want that in here. So that's why it broke on the other one. And that's what I'm saying. It will add things, the Chat GPT, or even if you get it from another source, they'll add something in there like that and it will throw off the parsing. So that's something you got to watch. But this now looks correct, as opposed to the female associate. So I'll probably end up redoing that later and then giving all these guys formal names. But really, that took like 10 minutes to make 3. If I wasn't talking about it and fighting with that punctuation or the formatting, I probably would have already been done with it. So that really doesn't take that long to do a whole series of NPCs. And that's kind of why you want to compartmentalize what it is that you're doing in regards to Chat GPT or any sort of any sort of way program. So I'm going to do one more bonus thing, and then we'll call it a day. So I'm going to go and bring up Discord, which is where my Midjourney comes from. So I'm going to go and put in this here, And this is the welcome center for our community. And I'm going to go to Layron's Lair, and this is where I put in the art request for this. So I'm going to just make a request for like the Master Thief. I want to make something kind of cool for the encounter. So when you're all done with your work, you can try to get some kind of art to go with it, so you can make tokens and such. But what I found, it's easier to make the art and then build the story around that instead of the other way around, because you don't have a lot of control over what Midjourney is going to do, or even Chat GPT. So sometimes it's better just to have the object and then build everything around it. It really helps. Or build your images ahead of time and then, you know, kind of key it around those. That's usually a better way to go. It's a lot less frustrating, and you can get what you want once you have the starting point. So I want to go ahead and I'm going to go back to this area here, which is the Chat GPT. I'm going to go to new chat. Now this is where the paid version comes in. So I'm going to go ahead and go to GPT 4, and then it has some plugins. Right now, this is a link plugin, and there's this one here called Photorealistic. So this is a plugin that you're going to use if you want it to create better prompts for you. Not necessarily better, but just a prompt for you. So what I'm going to do is first summon it, and then I'm going to give it the subject. So I'm going to put create a prompt for the Midjourney AI app. So that will call on that plugin. So now what I'm going to do is give it the actual topic. And once it sees this, it knows what I'm after. I'll just say the topic is a shadowy rogue wearing, I'll say black leather armor, kind of cliche, wearing black leather armor and a dark colored cloak. And I'll just say standing in the shadows in an underground dungeon. Just something kind of basic. And then I was going to say something like, the word is tenebrous, which means shadowy, kind of dark. It works really well for fantasy kind of stuff. I've always had good success with it. It changes the lighting and stuff. And then I'm going to put award-winning fantasy art, so it knows it's fantasy and not just a video game or some kind of hybrid thing. And then I want it to be 16K UHD, so pretty high def, not too high. This is a fantasy thing. I don't need a photorealistic thing. And then after that, I'm going to put the aspect ratio. So that's --AR. I'm going to go with 9:16, which is the ratio. So that's your 1920 by 1080, essentially. And it's going to be vertical instead of horizontal. So I'm asking it to create a prompt. The topic is a shadowy rogue wearing black armor and a dark cloak, standing in the shadows in an underground dungeon. Tenebrous, which means kind of shadowy, dark, kind of fantasy-looking lighting. Award-winning fantasy art, just kind of let it know that this is fantasy art. 16K is going to be my resolution, and then this is the dimensions for the aspect ratio. So I'm going to go ahead and hit this. And it's triggering the plugin, provided it's not broken. It will give me two different prompts that I can use for Chat GPT or for Midjourney. So it gives me the first prompt, and as you see, this is pretty long. So in the more recent developments with Midjourney, this sort of prompt is kind of unnecessary because they've optimized 5.2. But I'll go ahead and plug this in. It isn't going to kill anything, but it may not pick up all of this because there's a limited amount of tokens. So there is a command that you can use in Midjourney that will clean this up and kind of shorten it. So what I'm going to do is take this text, I'm going to copy it and go back to Discord. I'm going to get the prompt up. So there's a one called shorten now, which allows you to take something like I just got and shorten it up. But I don't think I want to play with that just yet. I just want to use it as is. And we'll see if it makes a difference. So this is without the plugin and the, this is without using the other thing. So the image should be high resolution, 16K with the aspect of style. Okay, so this here has to change to actual switches. So we're going to go with AR916. These have to be switches, not just words. And then I'm going to put in version 5.2. And then stylized is going to be S750, which is the strength of the stylization. So that's basically the prompt. So I'm going to go ahead and hit enter, and we'll see what we get. So while it's doing that, I'm going to take the same prompt and I'm going to shorten it and see what that gives us. So I'm going to hit Control V, hit enter, and let's see what it gives us. So yeah, so this is a the shortened version. So let's try number 1. And the only thing I'm going to try here is the aspect ratio, and I'm going to leave the rest of it and see what it gives us. So sometimes you get better results. Oops, I gave it the wrong parameter. So I'll dismiss that, go back to number 1, and I need to put in AR 9/16 because it doesn't know unless you have the switch in there. So we'll see what it gives us. So far, it's given us this kind of looks like a typical fantasy rogue type thing. Not too bad though. Yeah, so there's the female, so I can use that for the associate. And then here's the masked version of these two. So yeah, I like all of them actually. I can use all of those for different things. So maybe this guy down here will be the regular associate, and then she'll be like his one of his helpers, and then this will be the leader, something like that. Now I'm going to look to see what it gives me for this one over here. So this is the shortened one, and this is the one I left that was kind of long. So I can see that this one is a little bit more complex than the other one. But if you're going to use this to make a token with it, or you're going to use it to, let's say you wanted to turn this into a transparency, this might be your better choice. So when you're happy with whatever the results are, you're going to just have it when you select this button here, it's going to reprint these as single images. And then I'm going to do the same thing with this one. So, and now you have a bunch of images to work with. You may not use every single one of these, but they're all pretty decent looking photos. So like this one looks really cool for like the master. It kind of reminds me a little bit of Assassin's Creed kind of look, the way the art is. Yeah, it looks pretty cool. He's got like these flames shooting out. I don't know if I'd use that, but it's still pretty cool. This one's really good because there's no face. It's very mysterious. I kind of like that. And these are the shadow hands. So this could be his consort or maybe someone that is working for him. That's pretty cool. Kind of cute looking. And then you have this guy who looks like he's probably just like a regular rogue. And here's another female version, which looks really cool. It's got a dagger in her hand. Here's a female, but it's all shadowy. So this could be the leader too. It doesn't have to be a guy or a male. So that's pretty cool. So that's kind of your last step there, or it could be your first step, depending on how you approach this. But essentially, you could use those and turn those into tokens for this particular, or a handout for this particular game. So not only do you have all of your stuff made out, or most of your outline, you've got your NPCs, we made a table, and we made the artwork in about an hour. So that's really good. So I think we've been going for about an hour or so. I think I'm gonna call it a day, but hopefully this helps you, inspire you to kind of make your own homebrew stuff. And like I said, I started off with this table, so if I want to do this again, I would roll. and it rolled a 13. It says a famous bard is planning to hold a grand concert in Baldur's Gate, attracting visitors from all over the realms. It doesn't really sound like you can make this into anything spectacular like the one we've just done. However, with a couple word changes, you can say that the famous bard that's playing is looking for security. Maybe they're worried about being assassinated or killed or wounded, or maybe you do crowd control, like you're some roadies or something like that. And then some of the visitors that come are unsavory, and you have to save the bard from the people that he owes money to, or something like that. Or maybe he had a contract. This is an old contract that he never fulfilled, or something like that. So you can really do some cool stuff. But I really like the use of tables to inspire stories and such. So let's see what the next one is. So that could be a one shot in itself in Baldur's Gate. So I'll hit this again. Let's see, we got a 5. The streets of Baldur's Gate are hunted by vengeful spirits of past criminals. So these might be spirits that were released when you went to the Chamber of Shadows, and this is an add-on or the next step coming off of this other adventure. So you can do lots of cool stuff. So hopefully that helps you guys. Again, I was using Chat GPT 3.5 most of the time. And then I was using Midjourney 5 for the art, and then using Fantasy Grounds to kind of store and host everything. And then, of course, I use good old Notepad++, and then I have other things that, I have Canva that I use for creating content quite a bit. So that's something that is paid, of course, but it's my go-to app or program to make content. So, if you want to make something really cool, you could do that. So I've already made a bunch of other stuff in here. But I can make pretty much anything I need. So I usually go with 1080 by 1080, the square, the actual size. And then I will take some of that artwork that we got from here and use this as our kind of like a way to kind of make the story more interesting. So I might go with this shadowy female figure here. So if I go ahead and expand this, Control Copy, and then go into here, into Canva, we can put that in there and kind of start playing around with this and see if we can make something out of it. So this is just the next step. And then I would probably, there's a thing here where you can actually take it out. You can take the background out. You make a transparency out of it. So when you export it, it's just the image and not the background. You could do something like that. And then when you could tell this to export, turn this into a token, that sort of thing. But there ain't much of a face there, so I don't know if you do that with this or not. But anyway, so take care, everyone. Bye-bye. Have a happy 4th, and I'll see you probably